The concept and problems of spacetime, dark energy 1. The meaning of relativity and diversity as a two-body problem. It seems that it is impossible to figure out why the Earth is floating here, over there, behind it, or up or down. Furthermore, if you think about why the universe is here, you cannot figure it out at all. However, if there are two objects, time and location have meaning. In other words, time and position can be represented by the relationship between objects. This is to superficially grasp the relationship between two objects. It moves and exists regardless of how humans see it. Humans have no choice but to superficially perceive the movement of things. The more we want to know the reality of the universe, the more illusions that are far from reality appear, and people talk about it as if it were real. However, the more we observe the universe, the more things that are quite different from people's stories appear. In space, matter has shapes and sizes. Because their shapes and sizes are different, the mass and velocity of each object are different. If the mass and speed are different, it is impossible to determine which is fast or slow. The more individuals of matter, the more mass and velocity have relative meanings. It can be fast for some things but slow for others. Einstein's theory of relativity is a theory that came out by comparing the velocity of two objects. In the case of two objects, it is possible to determine that the speed is fast and the mass is heavy. However, if we go to the multi-body problem, we can only decide whether it is relatively fast or slow. When talking about the speed of matter in space, the speed of the relative matter must be determined to know whether the speed of my matter is fast or slow. The problem here is that space changes due to relative changes in matter. In the theory of relativity, space is thought of from the perspective of the inertial system and the invariance of the speed of light. If space is bent by the speed or mass of matter, time occurs because the bending is changing. This is the concept of spacetime. Since change itself is time, space and time are seen as one. In this way, it is said that space moves like matter, and in the theory of relativity, space fluctuates like matter and matter does not actually change accelerated motion, but linear motion like an inertial system. In other words, it is said that space is bent by the mass of matter, and matter moves along a curved path. Matter is practically in linear motion. When space bends, it means that space changes, and when it changes, it accelerates. Doing acceleration exercise means absorbing and consuming energy. In the end, matter does nothing and space does work for you. The fact that physical changes in space come due to the speed and mass of matter is a theory that has been preached. Even though changes in the speed and mass of matter are the results that can be produced by energy, it is a retrograde theory that physical changes can occur without exchanging energy. This can be seen as like thinking that power comes from the support of the public, but comes from one's own ability or self-power. This is to see the world as a relationship of domination, subordination, or submission. This is because the relationship between things is viewed as antagonistic and combative. So voluntary movement cannot occur, so forced and controlling methods are used. And when these methods are used, laws and regulations are mass-produced one after another. In this structure, the system is heading for shutdown, because the creative cycle that occurs in the voluntary balance or balance is disrupted. If we approach social phenomena as a two-body problem, we will severely distort society, and even if there are absurdities and contradictions in society, we will not be able to heal it naturally, and we will try to use physical methods, which can worsen the situation and lead to the collapse of the social system. Current physics also sees the relationship between things only as a two-body problem. So many distortions occur about nature and the universe. Light spreads from light to dark, and current physics says that energy comes out of the dark and matter acts. It is a story that goes against the providence of nature, which shows that light goes into darkness and shows that the universe works. Universal gravitation or relativity is a theory that explains gravity using a two-body problem. In the two-body problem, it is possible to determine fast and slow. But the universe is a world of three or more bodies. In the world of many, fast and slow can vary depending on the speed of the other matter. Most people can't get out of this and stay in a two-dimensional worldview, which is very different from the real world. Differing opinions on the law of the speed of light. If we look at Einstein's principle of the invariance of the speed of light, he argues that c speed of light, the movement of light does not merge with the speed of movement of other materials. Since light is stretched out moment by moment, if light is emitted from a moving object, the speed of light is not included in the speed of the object. In other words, the speed of a moving object does not seem to be able to continuously act on light. The moment light leaves a moving object, the speed of the object cannot be combined. Therefore, the speed of light always seems to be constant. There is nothing that can be said to be unchanging at the speed of light. For example, if you add up the speed of light and the speed of light, what will happen to the speed? Of course, the speed of light will be c. However, whether cc can be established, but it seems difficult. Intuitively, it seems almost impossible. Therefore, the merging of the velocities of different moving objects is temporarily possible, but it is not continuous, so the law of optical invariance cannot be established. Since the speed of light is unchanging, it means that there is no further change, which is a very contradictory statement that cannot be established in nature.